Hey everyone, and welcome to a new the Video Attic new release roundup. I am your host, Michael Vaughn. I am a writer for Geek Vibes Nation, and my previous bylines include Films in Review, Scream Magazine, and AMC's The Bite. I'm also the author of a book called The Ultimate Guide to Strange Cinema. And I currently co-host another podcast called The Humanoids from the Deep Dive, as well as Return of the Living Geeks for this channel. So um, I have, as always, a really awesome co-host with me. Dillon, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I am a senior critic for geekvibesnation.com. I'm also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And as always, I am excited to be here with Mike today, talking about some great movies.
Yeah, we got some good ones.
Yeah, I'll start off here. I have a movie. Once again, I don't do this too often, but I have a DVD that I want to spotlight from Music Box Films, and that is the film Golden Voices, which is a new Russian-Israeli movie. It takes place in the early 1990s, and it concerns like an older couple in their 60s who their career up until this point has been dubbing movies so like in Russia. So like they would like dub voices for like Kirk Douglas and Dustin Hoffman and a lot of like really cool like performances for all the people in Russia for American movies that would come over. And it's coming to a point where there's not really a need for that in Russia anymore. So, and they've already decided that the couple themselves want to immigrate to Israel. So they move to Israel, but they find that there's not really a lot of need for their particular golden voice work that they have, their talents, but for film at least. But that you find them going into other avenues like phone sex work or like bootleg piracy, like for people who like videotape stuff and like both camcorders and movies, like dubbing for that and stuff. So it's kind of like a culture shock, but like neither of them really want to admit to each other that things aren't exactly how they want it to be in their new home. And it's like kind of a bittersweet movie. There's a lot of really like amusing moments and heartfelt moments, but then there's like also just like that undercurrent of like drama, like and like but just like a backdrop of like political stuff going on in the back of just like shifting times and everything. And it's a really like solid movie. I really enjoyed it. If you're open to foreign films and you like something that's just kind of like an interesting watch, especially since we're such cinephiles, just the idea of like the people behind the like dubbed voices that we've heard is just an interesting concept to me. I think this is a really solid movie. The DVD itself, I mean, I wish it was a Blu-ray. I'm hoping maybe like in a couple of years they'll re-release it on Blu-ray, but the picture quality is as good as DVD can get, and it has like lossy Dolby Digital 5.1. So, and it does have an audio commentary from the director and the director of photography. So there's some pretty good supplements on there, and yeah, it's a pretty solid movie. If you're looking for an interesting foreign movie, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, that was definitely not on my radar, but I'll definitely have to check that out. So I'm going to do a 180 with my release, and it is an obscure slasher called Deadly Games.
Oh, nice.
From Arrow, and it comes in this beautiful slip cover. I'll show it off here. This actually was a really interesting movie, but first let me show you just like a little bit of the inside here. So this does have reversible artwork.
Love it.
Which is always nice, like a nice option. It also comes with a booklet. And these are always really well produced and has Some really nice stuff. There's a new essay in there. The photo reproductions are always really good, as you can see.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and a little teaser for something coming up.
Oh, that seems interesting.
Yeah, I'm always excited for more obscure slashers. This one was actually really interesting. This was a first time watch for me, and I'm gonna keep as always, I'm gonna keep the plots really vague because I don't want to spoil these for anybody, but I will say that I found this really interesting because it features older adults instead of like the typical like teenagers or like people that are supposed to be teenagers. It almost kind of felt like a sort of like Big Chill meets Friday the 13th kind of thing.
Hmm.
A highlight of this movie is Steve Railsback. It's a really visually interesting film. It has a new 2K scan. The movie is just very dark, not so much like tone wise, but just actually visually dark. So, you know, you can definitely tell that there's like a level of brightness and sharpness that certainly really helps the film. And yeah, it was obviously I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it sort of has a little bit of a lackluster finale, but I still thought it was really interesting and certainly one that I can see myself revisiting.
Sounds awesome. I've been really interested in that title ever since Arrow announced it. It's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of wild because you know I'm not used to seeing like I've seen a lot of like slashers, especially like 80s slashers, and it's so interesting when they like follow like people that are like pushing middle aged. Like you have like married couples, and you know it's a lot of times you it's more just like teenagers or like people like I said people are supposed to be teenagers. So I like that. It was an interesting sort of like take on like your traditional slasher. And again, it's really well shot, and I mean the acting's pretty decent. Like, you know, I'm a big fan of Steve Railsback, so like he's not in it a lot, but you know, he's featured like he's definitely like somebody that he could be the killer. So, you know,
No spoilers.
yeah, no spoilers, but it's good. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, awesome. My next movie is another newer release, and that is the movie Dark Blood with John Leguizamo, which is really interesting. I haven't seen a lot of John Leguizamo movies where he is speaking Spanish, like predominantly. So this is completely in Spanish. I believe it takes place in Colombia. It starts off, this isn't like a spoiler to say, but it starts off with him beating someone to death. And then it just goes to his life, like him being thrown into prison. And you learn that he has taken he is in jail for beating a guy to death who he believes was molesting his son. And then this movie, it's a very dark movie, but yeah, uh, this basically details his treatment in prison with some of like the guards who mistreat him, and it's just a really gritty prison drama. What makes it slightly different than some of the ones I've seen is it's kind of hard to say why, but the warden gives him like a dog as a companion that like stays in his cell with him and like kind of helps him like survive like his really harsh circumstances. But other than that, it's just like a series of like, it's like a portrait of a man like just barely keeping it together and like dealing with all this trauma, and like there are various like revelations throughout, but it's just a lot of him just being put through the ringer by his his wife who's on the outside, and like the people, like his fellow inmates, and like the warden, and it's just like it's a lot. But it's probably one of the best John Leguizamo performances I've ever seen. It's like so visceral. It's just like I don't think he's utilized as well in Hollywood as he can be. Like he's gets a lot of really like small like supporting roles, or like interesting like bit roles, but this really is like it's all him, and it's a really great performance. But like I said, it's very uncomfortable, very dark, very violent, a lot of sexual violence, because it's a prison drama, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think it's adds a ton to the genre, but if you're interested in just like really uncomfortable prison dramas, it's a pretty good one. And there's not much in the way of special features from this NVD disc. There's like a photo gallery and a trailer, but the AV quality is solid. It's DTS 5.1 sound, and the HD transfer. It's a new film. I didn't see any like black crush or anything, so it's like it's a good AV quality. So if you're interested, if you're a fan of John Leguizamo especially, I would check it out.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Again, like your previous title, I've never even heard of that one, but now I definitely want to check that out because I do really like that actor. And I completely agree. I think he's very underutilized. So my next one is a trauma film. It's from Trauma/MVD, and it is Surf Nazis Must Die.
Mhm.
And
Good title, evocative title at least.
yeah.
Tells you what you're getting into.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's no reversible art, by the way. It's just the and I'm very sure that there's no new features. It's everything's just ported over from the previous release. The movie itself is kind of a mixed bag. Like it's definitely a movie that is wearing like its influences on its sleeve. Most notably Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. I like it because it's 80s cheese. It kind of has that like DIY, like scrappy sort of energy of like early traumas that I really love. The story is a bit on the basic side though, and I feel like it kind of lacks the charm and world building of something like The Toxic Avenger. And yeah, I mean, but it's good. I mean, there certainly is some highlights. Like Gail Neely, who plays Mama Washington, is a national treasure, and she's great in this movie. So as far as how it looks, Trome is kind of infamous for maybe having like some lackluster Blu-rays recently. And if I'm being honest, this one isn't really like the greatest looking presentation. Colors are a bit on the faded side, and there's a lot of like artifacts and noise that are present. Putting a good face on it though, it definitely is a step up from the DVD when comparing the two. And also I always feel like 80s grindhouse films shouldn't look pristine anyways. The audio actually is pretty good though. Like it has a really nice bold 2.1 track. And yeah, so it just depends on like your mileage, but if I mean the price is right, I think it's like $16 right now. And because of the title, this one will not be in the description, but you just, I mean, type it in on Amazon and you'll find it pretty easy. It's not hard to find. So yeah, again, if you don't mind it not looking like completely 100% pristine. I think it's worth upgrading if you don't have it on Blu-ray yet.
I am just shocked to learn that there's not multiple movies that could be confused with Surf Nazis Must Die. That's blowing my mind.
Right?
Yeah. Continuing kind of on that same path that you just said, this is much different than my first two movies. I staggered this so I'd like get more of the serious stuff out of the way, and the rest of my stuff is just pure cheese. So enjoy for everyone for the rest of the time. So I'm going to do a double feature here, also from MVD, and it's from their Rewind collection, and it's Jack Frost and Jack Frost 2. Both newly out. Jack Frost has been released previously by Vinegar Syndrome. And from what I do not have that release, but from my research, what I can tell is this comes from a 2K scan. I believe the Vinegar Syndrome maybe also did, but this does seem to have a different framing ratio. This is in 1.78 by 1 instead of 1.85 by 1. So slightly different, but very minuscule. And from what I can tell, that there's slightly different contrast levels and color saturation. Most people seem to be more pleased with how this one looks based on what I was reading. I thought it looked pretty good for the type of movie it is. I always saw this movie on VHS in like my local video store, and I've always heard things like about like snowman sexual assault stuff like from a young age, and I'm like, that movie sounds crazy. And just finally seeing this come to Blu-ray, I was like, I guess it's the time to finally like check it out. This, just a brief description, it's about a serial killer about to be like convicted or sentenced to death, and Clint Howard's driving a chemical truck, and it crashes into the transport vehicle, turns the serial killer through means into a killer snowman, and that's all you pretty much need to know. But the movie itself, but I think both movies are knowingly jokey, probably more so like the second one is like goes way over the top. But the first one, it's really stupid, but I think it's well done for what it is, like for a killer snowman movie. I do like the special effects in this one, especially because they don't try to overdo it, like, or with like any kind of digital stuff. It's pretty much just like they shoot it, so it's kind of how I felt about when I recently watched Alligator. They shoot kind of these practical creatures in a way that doesn't make it seem super cheesy. So I appreciate the practical effects more than like any kind of trying to like jazz it up or whatever. But this first one, it ports over all of the special features from the Vinegar Syndrome release, and adds a new commentary track with the host of Hack the Movies. And there's also a new 2-part interview that split over both releases with one of the film's stars. And there's also the slip cover with reversible cover art, which I have not reversed yet, but I will show you. Here is the disc for that one, and the other side cover art here. And also this release comes with a poster of the new cover art that comes in the package.
Nice.
Here. Yep. So that's pretty cool. And the second one, it's along the same lines, but it seems even cheaper than the first one, which is surprising. It ends up family take one of the survivors from the first film takes a family vacation to a tropical island, and somehow Jack Frost follows him there. He's not dead. It's really cheesy. It kind of seems like almost like a soap opera sometime, with like how it's shot, like really very, very basic quality. But one thing I learned about this release in particular that I want to note, inadvertently, MVD did include the censored version of the film on this release, and there is a replacement program that they are looking to institute for fans who did buy this release. So keep an eye on like some of the MVD social media, because as the latest post I saw was in early February that they had located the uncut version from the license holder, and they are working to get that to consumers, which was a really interesting experience for me because I was just watching this and being like, oh, they're really decided to go a different route with this one. They're like, there's not very much violence. They're like tone down the cursing and stuff. I was like, okay, they went a different way, but it's just censored. And I have no experience with these movies, so I didn't know. But yeah, I'll give a quick look here. Reversible cover art here. Disc art. And then once again, you can unfold this poster. So if you are concerned about the replacement program, I think you can still purchase this disc and rest assured that they will make good on the promise of an uncut release. And then you also, in the meantime, if you have this disc, you have like a special bonus of having a censored version that you probably wouldn't have been included otherwise. And it's a kind of an interesting artifact. So I guess the best of both worlds. If you, as long as the company makes good on their like promise, I'm usually pretty forgiving of that kind of stuff. And otherwise, it's a really great release. It's jam-packed with features. The packaging's great. And if you like these types of movies, you'll be entertained. If you have no interest in these types of movies, they're super stupid and you won't enjoy it.
Yeah, I've seen the first one, and it's definitely a sort of so bad it's enjoyable kind of film. It's usually a Christmas time watch for me. So we are going from Killer Snowman to Fellini,
Oh, yep.
with La Dolce Vita, and this is a new release from Paramount, and there's the back. Interestingly enough, this film restoration was funded by Gucci.
What? All right.
Yeah. It wasn't restored by them. It was restored by the Film Foundation, but Gucci funded it. So you know, we need a House of Gucci tie-in. But I'm not sure. This movie's been written about and analyzed to death. It's one of my favorite Fellini films. It's so incredibly shot, beautifully shot. Fun fact, we get the word paparazzi from this film.
Interesting.
And yeah, so it's really gorgeous looking. You can tell the restoration was well worth whatever they spent on it, because it's pretty flawless looking, especially for a film from 1960. This film is part of the Fellini set that Criterion put out, although I do not believe that it's the same restoration or master. And I'm not sure if it also includes the intro by Scorsese. Usually, I want to say that Criterion probably has some more features on their version of the film, but if you're just if you don't want to buy the entire box set and you're just looking for like a standalone, this is definitely the route to go. So yeah, again, beautiful 4K. You got a new introduction, so Real, I mean, again, it's such a beautiful, moving film. Have you seen it?
No, I didn't want to like interrupt you or anything. I was just I'm waiting on to get that Fellini set because I
Hmm.
knew that it was in it. So that's the only reason I'm also not going like covering it right now is because I'm that Fellini set's been on my list since it came out. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've only seen a handful of Fellini films, but I've really enjoyed what I've seen.
Yeah, I think you'll really like this. Again, this and like Eight and a Half are like my favorite of his films. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. I'll report back once I finally get that Fellini set and let you know what I think. Now I am heading down the Kino Classics corridor on my end. I my next film is Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, which is a film that I've heard about because people joke about it being called The Adventure Begins and then it just never getting a sequel because people seemingly like it either were just bombed or people didn't like this movie. I found it to be fine. It's a slice of 80s cheese, man. It's a Fred Ward, who people would probably know from Tremors or maybe Joe Dirt. I don't know. That I my first exposure was Joe Dirt, and then I went back and saw Tremors and some. He's in everything. He plays a cop who, at the beginning of the film, he gets into an accident. Unbeknownst to him, his face, like he has plastic surgery done to his face, and he's transformed into this new identity and named Remo Williams, and he's trained by like I believe it's a Korean master of something to like be specially skilled in like martial arts and all kinds of like mystical ancient stuff. I'm sure there's some problematic elements with that as well. But it's it's a pretty straightforward like super powered action hero taking down the bad guys. And there's a Kate Mulgrew from Star Trek Voyager. She is a supporting player in this. There's Wilford Brimley from Hard Target. There's a bunch of people in here. Like the movie's not great, but like if you like cheesy 80s action movies, it's pretty entertaining. I especially like the scene depicted here where they're fighting around the Statue of Liberty on like scaffolding. That's probably by far the best part of the movie for me. This was previously released by Twilight Time. I did not have that release, but I probably, from what I've read, probably is pretty similar in AV quality to that release, and probably the same master that Arrow Video used when they put it out overseas, like in 2014, I believe. So it's pretty old master. It's not pristine by any means. It probably could have used a fresh master, but it's not. It's still decent. It has a new audio commentary from the producers. It has a really like nice assortment of special features. There's like 4 or 5 featurettes that run from like 15 to 25, 30 minutes. So it's pretty detailed, actually. I was surprised. And you do get this cover art, the slipcover for those who pre-order early. It's not double-sided, so just to keep that in mind. But slipcover fans, there you go. If you like the movie, you probably already know if you like it, but if mostly this is for people who missed out on the Twilight Time and who want to just have the movie in their collection.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, again, that's another movie that I have not seen previously, but it sounds pretty interesting. Like it almost sounds like Hitchcockian in the sense of like a big set piece sort of action scene.
Yeah.
That might be giving it way more credit.
Yeah, it's like mindless Hitchcock. Like if Hitchcock had a lobotomy, then maybe this is what would come from it.
Yeah, so my next one is again very different. It is Hiruko the Goblin, and I hope I'm saying that right. And this is a really neat one from Mondo Macabro. And I'm not sure if, I mean, some people are going to be familiar with this director. His name is Shinosaka Moto, and he did some really interesting movies, and Arrow actually did a really cool box set, and I'll put this link in the description, called Solid Metal Nightmares, which has like a ton of his films. And actually Mondo previously also has a movie from him called Gemini, and I'll also link that in the description. This one was a lot of fun. Like, this was a new discovery for me, and it's kind of a loving homage to like splattery films like The Evil Dead. There's like camera shots that are very Sam Raimi-esque. It is very fun and over the top. Like, there's definitely some references to The Thing. It's a little slapsticky, which again kind of evokes this sort of like Evil Dead / Evil Dead 2 sort of vibe. And it's just really fun, silly, ridiculous, like enjoyable entertainment. And again, so there's the inside, no reversible art, but yeah, it's a really nice 2K, and there are some new features, including I believe it has a new interview with the director. So if you're a big fan of his, or again, if you're like me and you're just kind of starting out with his films, Arrow and Mondo have you covered with a huge chunk of his filmography already. So like I said, I will link those in the description so y'all can check those out. I know Gemini is on sale right now on Amazon, which is the other Mondo film from that director. So yeah, it's well worth checking out. It was a really fun blind watch.
Nice. That sounds really promising. I'll probably have to check that out. Yeah. Going from 80s cheese to 60s cheese, I have also from Kino Classics, Village of the Giants. You can, based on the cover art, you can probably understand what this movie is about. It is a movie, it's kind of boils down to like a picture oriented towards the youth and rebelling against like the older like youth versus adults dynamic, basically. And there's a young Ron Howard in this who plays, I think he's like probably like a 12-year-old who's a genius scientist who's creating stuff in his basement laboratory, and whoops, it's like a formula that makes things big. So there's like a giant bunny, I think, that comes out, and then eventually through circumstances, the formula gets on some of these teenagers, and they become big and they're giants, and they run amok and don't want to listen to authority. One of these teenagers is Beau Bridges, which is a lot of fun. But it's kind of like a silly, like it's intentionally cheesy, like sci-fi feature. There's one of the leads, Johnny Crawford, the man in this woman's bosom. I recently talked about him with the movie The Naked Ape. He was the star of that, so he's back here. The movie itself, it's only 81 minutes. It doesn't really try to stretch out the concept too much. There's some really silly moments of just like the way they film stuff to make things look bigger than they were. And uh it's really well done if you like this type of like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman type movie. This Blu-ray is actually really great. It's been restored by Studio Canal from a 4K restoration, so it looks really good. I really was a fan of how it looked. It sounds great. There's not a lot of distortion or anything like that. There's a new audio commentary by Tim Lucas, and he provides a lot of great context. And yeah, overall, it's just a really solid release. This kind of hits that sweet spot of, like I said, like 1960s like sci-fi that I really enjoy when it's done well. And it's like, it's just a fun, cheesy time.
Nice. I'm actually very familiar with this one because of it being on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, really?
And,
Nice.
yeah. So I probably through that show have probably seen that probably like a good 6 or 7 times.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, you're right. It is a lot of fun. If you like the movie, I kind of highly recommend checking out the Mystery Science Theater episode as well, which is really good. I take it you haven't seen that episode yet.
No, I didn't. This is my first time knowing about this, but that makes a lot of sense. And like, even though the movie does not take itself seriously at all, like I can imagine them having a lot of fun, like taking this one apart.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It is a good, really good episode. Yeah, so again, whiplashing into a pair of Shaw Brothers films from 88 Films. And I have to say that if you're a Shaw Brothers fan right now, it is kind of like an amazing time
Mhm.
because again we've had 4 releases of these films, these Shaw Brothers films from 88 Films, plus we have that amazing Shaw scope set from Arrow that I did a unboxing video for. So yeah, it has, so we have Legendary Weapons of China, and I will show you that's the back, and as you can see, it's loaded with features. They certainly did not skimp on extras. So we have a really nice booklet inside, poster, and it also has some really nice reversible art. And yeah, really good looking film. Like with the other Shaw Brothers films from 88 Films, like the restorations are really gorgeous looking. This has a new HD remaster, and yeah, it's really stunning. And it's a lot of fun. Like these films are like great if you're like a big kung fu fan. Like the plot is maybe a little bit on the thin side, but like the action set pieces and like the choreography is like incredible. So we also have the Flag of Iron and slip cover here. And like the previous film, it too has a booklet and a poster.
Nice.
And reversible artwork. And yeah, again, it's a fun movie. It's both of these aren't really what I would say like amazing like story wise, but is still a lot of fun. A lot of great action. So I'm a really big fan of these. Like, I'm really glad that 88 Films has been providing fans with like loaded releases that are looking great. And yeah, if you're kind of just getting into like Shaw Brothers films, like between 88 Films and Arrow, I mean, they have you covered. So
Yeah, you've convinced me. Like I'm just now getting into the Shaw Scope set, but I for some reason I just haven't gotten to these 88 Films releases yet. But I'm just like, it clicked in my mind, like, oh no, I need to get these. Why haven't I sought these out yet? So you've sold one person at least.
yeah, they're really fun. Like I mean, these releases are good. They're not like my favorite of like what they released so far. Like I feel like the Chinese Boxers, one of my favorites that was released in November of 2021, and that one's like really great. And again, also a stunning looking release. But yeah, like it's they're a really good time. Like my like knowledge of like kung fu films have been really like hit or miss, so I've been trying to sort of tackle that genre a little bit more now. And yeah, between like this and like early Jackie Chan movies, like you can't go wrong.
Absolutely, that's awesome. My final film, once again, another cheese fest. This is from 1979, and this is C.H.O.M.P.S, which is an acronym that I don't think really holds up. They really stretched it, but it's a Canine Home Protection System. So they really just they they kind of condensed some things, but whatever. C.H.O.M.P.S concerns this young man who works at a security firm played by Wesley Uri. And he has invented this robot dog who resembles his other real life dog. So robot dog, real dog. And the robot dog, his name is Chomps, and you can give him like commands that are usually through numbers. So like 24, and then he'll like go off, like just say 24, and he'll like go off and like take out a bad guy or whatever. But this movie, like, I had a lot of fun with it. I did not realize until I was actually watching the special features for the Toolbox Murders, which you talked about recently. And there was an interview with a guy, and he talked about, he was like, I took my friends to see this movie, the Toolbox Murders, but they thought they were seeing one of my other movies, Chomps, and they were like, so, and I was like, it's the same guy. That's the same guy in both movies. So I was very excited. But Chomps, much different from Toolbox Murders. It's really silly. There's some like bumbling bad guys there's like a rival security firm who's trying to like steal the plan for the new security system, which they don't know is a robot dog. And these idiots just keep getting into these situations where every single time, like they'll end up like in some like explosion, or their car will crash or something. Like Chomps will just save the day, and it's amazing. Like I said, it's, once you hear the premise, you kind of know how it's going to play out. Like it's just a robot dog movie, and he's just like causing chaos. I had a lot of fun with it. This is from Kino Classics and Code Red. It comes from a new 2K master. It comes with an introduction from Wesley Uri, and along with another full interview with him. It has a commentary with him, and co-writer Dwayne Poole also in this. So this one does actually have some really nice supplemental features. The film looks good. Like I was really impressed by the 2K master. There's still like a few specs and nicks here and there, but you can tell it's a new master. Sounds great. No reversible cover art, but you can just see in here. If like I said, these at least last three movies are much of the same vein. If you like kind of like just stupid, fun, like action or like sci-fi adventure movies, stuff like in that realm, all of these are gonna like bring a lot of fun to your life. But I probably would say Chomps is my favorite, then Village of the Giants, then Remo Williams, and then the two Jack Frost films are just on some other level. They're just wild. But yeah, I was having a cheesy good time this past week.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, that's another one that's been on my radar for a while. So that's awesome to know that it's pretty fun. So my final film is a really weird, actually four documentary pack, which is the Alien Agenda from Mill Creek.
All right. Okay.
I
Let's do it.
just, yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've covered anything Mill Creek. And yeah, I gotta say, if you do also like cheesy kind of like, I say documentary very loosely, of course. um, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, it is like over 6 hours of content. Because again, you have like these different like I guess they're like little like mini documentaries on each subject. And um it's definitely like cheesy to the max, but if you kind of like that sort of like History Channel, like not really fact based, but wild like theories, I had a good time with it. It's kind of one of those perfect like right now today's like a really dreary rainy day. This is
Yeah.
kind of like one of those like perfect you throw on, you just have a good time with. Yeah, it's I mean the information is of course very dubious, but again that's sort of what's fun about it. So yeah, if you want to know about the Alien Agenda, there you go.
I want to learn about those. I saw an alien reptilian theory or something like that on the back.
Oh
So
yeah,
sign me up. Sign me up.
that is, yeah, it has a whole section on that.
Library.
So
Okay, nice.
it's got you
All right,
covered. You will learn all about who's a reptilian.
awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Okay, so I have special mention. Severin's box set, All the Haunts Be Ours, is finally in stock again. And so this is what it looks like. I did an entire unboxing video, which I can link in the description. So you can check it out a little more thoroughly. But I have to say, it's a really awesome deep dive into folk horror. And what's exciting about it is it has films from all over the globe, like literally. I mean, there's stuff from like the UK, there's stuff from the US, but like Brazil and Siberia, just all over the place. So it's really cool. I know I talked about a film called Succubus, which was a German folk horror film. And I mentioned that it's a nice companion piece with this set. So yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that if you are interested in it, it is in stock again, and I will happily link the where you can buy it in the description. It's like 170 bucks, but you get 12 feature films, it's 12 Blu-rays, 3 CDs, plus like 15 plus hours of special features. So it's a lot of money, yes, but I feel like you're really getting your money's worth. And like, look how gorgeous that looks. I mean, they put a lot of effort into it. And I didn't get this to review from Severin. I bought this because I wanted it and I wanted to support Severin. But also, it just looks, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it has a really cool booklet. Again, I did a whole video that I'll link in the description. But yeah, it's awesome, and you should definitely check it out. So it is available. It's been sold out for a while, but they've got more in. So if you have been wanting that set or being kind of curious about it, now's the time. So that was our episode, and we definitely had a lot of really weird random stuff. But let me know what's your favorite release in the comments, and if you like this video, definitely consider giving it a like, subscribe, and because you definitely don't want to miss out on some great content coming up. So thanks for spending the time with us.